Today we're going to be breaking down how to play Dryads in set 11, what traits and synergies you can play them with, and how to fight for first place every single time. This comp uses a full Dryad board with Kindred and Gnar as your main damage carries and Ornn as your main tank. You'll also bring in Ghostly and Reaper later on to make your carries hit even harder. This comp is easy to play and really strong if you hit early enough, but if you get contested you may just lose out on a bit of LP. The full comp uses Gnar, Kindred, Ornn, Aatrox, Rek'Sai, Shen, Kayn and Illaoi. But there are quite a few other ways you can play this comp if you are being contested. If Ghostly units are popular, you can drop these and instead go for a full 7 Fated focus, while still keeping Gnar and Kindred as your main 3-star carries. Or you can look to keep 4 Dryad here and only add in 3 Fated with Thresh and Syndra for Shen and Aatrox. Then there's the other late game Dryad unit Azir, which you can bring in to replace Rek'Sai if you haven't 3-starred her already. There's also 2 other slow roll versions at level 6 that drop at least one of your main carries if they are really contested or you just can't find them. If you're struggling to find Gnar copies, you could opt out for our Ghostbusters comp instead, which plays with a full Ghostly board. If you manage to 3-star Gnar but you can't find any Kindreds, you can also transition to our Warden War comp, which keeps Ghostly but drops Dryad to add more Wardens whilst also having Senna as your new 3-star carry. Remember, we can recommend you any comp and other variations automatically with our in-game overlay, so make sure you download that and bring it with you into your next game. Let's get on to your items next, and your 2 most important units are Gnar and Kindred. Kindred needs a blue buff as this one will make her jump through the entire board while shooting down enemy units. After that, it gets pretty flexible though with options like Jeweled Gauntlet, Death Cap, Morello's, Giant Slayer or even a Guard Breaker. Gnar is not quite as flexible though, as he's a melee frontline carry and he needs those sustain items to make him survive long enough to actually deal some damage. So Bloodthirster and Titans is mandatory for him to work properly, although the BT is more important. As a third item you can go for something like Sterak's, Quicksilver, Hand of Justice or even a second Titans. Then we have our main tank Ornn, who you want to throw on any defensive item components after you've loaded up your Gnar, and he can work with pretty much anything defensive here, so don't hesitate to slam those components if you have them. After that, you can throw any other defensive leftovers onto Rek'Sai if you have 3-starred her, or any other frontliners like Aatrox or Shen. When it comes to spatulas, the Dryad Spat is a buildable one, which could potentially help you activate 6 Dryad if you manage to get to level 9 to add in your last Dryad in Azir, which will finally spike your board even harder. Speaking of emblems, let's have a look at some augments. And it's safe to say that a Dryad, Crest or Crown are going to be instant pickups here, allowing you to hit that 6 Dryad trait bonus at level 9, making your 2-cost carries Kindred and Gnar even deadlier than they already are. Then you also have the Dryad specific augment Mulched, which is better the earlier you get it, as your Dryad units will get 2 Dryad stacks every round and giving them some more damage too. Other S-tier augments for this comp will be any reroll augments to help 3-star your carries like Prismatic Ticket, Heroic Grab Bag or Team Building. 2 Healthy is also a fantastic augment choice in this setup as we play a bunch of 2-cost units. There's also some strong A-tier options for this comp too, like Featherweights, Gargantuan Resolve, or any form of Harm Assist or Pandora's items. So your best chance to win when playing this comp is by having your main carries 3-starred and fully itemized with their best in slot items early into the game without having to spend tons of gold on rerolls. This means you can also slow roll for your other units in Aatrox, Shen and Rek'Sai while still being able to push for high levels to fit in 6 Dryad with Azir. Getting 6 Dryad is only possible though if you see a Dryad Crest or Crown, or if you play a Spatula Portal. But don't forget that everyone will get a Spatula during those portals, so your chances of being contested will be higher here. Another big win condition in this comp is hitting that Mulched augment as early as possible to help your carries get stacked up sooner and allow them to scale harder into the late game. Well, let's move on to the game plan next, and remember you can follow along with this guide in-game using our overlay. As you can tell, this is a slow roll comp that plays around level 6 to hit your main carries 3-star. There is one pretty straightforward opener for this comp, which lets you play all of your core units and traits with Gnar, Kindred, Shen and Aatrox. However, these are all 2-cost units, so an opener like this one is pretty unlikely. But still try to play around Gnar and Kindred if you can, and bring in other 1-costs like Rek'Sai and Kabuko to activate Bruiser. Aim to hit level 6 at stage 3-2 and start setting up your board here for the late game. Level 6 is your primary level here, so make sure you have a big bank of gold that's waiting to be slow rolled above 50 to 3-star Gnar and Kindred. This is also the level to focus on your carry items if you have the components and getting your core units online. If you are being heavily contested, you might want to roll a little bit more aggressively here to hit those 3-star carries before anyone else does. But a 2-starred version of your team should be more than enough to stabilize your board and win you the next couple of rounds. Level up to 7 once you've 3-starred your main carries Kindred and Gnar. And if you're also close to hitting 3-star Rek'Sai, Shen or Aatrox, you can roll for a little bit longer here. Once you're level 7, you'll now want to activate 4 Dryad or 4 Ghostly, with Dryad being the priority as Ornn is a fantastic tank hit. If you can't find Ornn and find Kayn or Morgana, just pop one of these in instead to activate 4 Ghostly. Don't roll too hard at level 7 though, because level 8 is where we can activate 4 Dryad and 4 Ghostly together. So once you can push to level 8, you should definitely go for it. Your main objective here is to activate at least 4 Dryad and 4 Ghostly, as we've just mentioned, so that Kindred and Gnar get the help of the Ghostly Spectres and can 2v9 boards on their own. Upgrading your other units is also really important, especially Ornn to 2-star, as he's a really popular tank which other players will also be looking out for. Don't forget to keep an eye out for a copy of Azir during the carousel, as he's a much better Dryad unit to play over Rek'Sai, unless Rek'Sai is 3-starred. Finally, let's have a look at the positioning of this comp, and your most important positioning is having your main carries Kindred and Gnar on the same side at all times. This way they'll be able to focus the same enemy units and can burst them down way faster than if they would try to do it by themselves. Then you want to have your Ghostly units near your 2 carries so they always attack the same units to stack those Ghostly Spectres faster, which also help Gnar and Kindred wipe out enemy units faster. Kayn is the only Ghostly unit that wants to start in the second row of the front line, so he doesn't get focused immediately, and can deal some damage as well before dropping dead. Ornn will take the center stage in your front line, and Rek'Sai and Illaoi will always occupy the opposite side of the front line, but having them more towards the edges. And that will give you everything you need to know on how to win with our dry hard comp. Don't forget, we have expert video guides for all the strongest comps in each and every patch, so head to our website or download our desktop app to see them all for yourself. Good luck and have fun!